No, go back. Go back. Get this. Take that out. Take that out. All right, where's my, okay, here we go. Boom. And invite, copy invitation. Let me go to, what's the name of that joint? Google. What I do with my phone? Oh, it is recording. Okay.
Do you all know Kara and Greg Bryant, the Bryants?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Kara had told me about the Creole Connection page, and I didn't meet her. We had gone to high school together, but I didn't know that we were cousins. We may have been in our junior or senior year in high school.
Okay.
When I found out that we were related. So I started asking her questions about family members. And she told me about the Creole Connection page. And then I told the cousin in California about the Creole Connection page. So it's just opened a window that I have just been thoroughly pleased, because I've just waited till I got 56 to want to know. Well, you don't think to ask the questions when you're younger.
Yes.
You know, you don't think to ask the questions. And then I waited until I got a little older, and I said I had all the connections with me, but it just didn't occur to me to ask the questions. So now it's like I'm doing like this, because I have grandchildren now. And my mother would always say, I don't want my children marrying any of their cousins. And sure enough, it seems like, oh my goodness, I think my mom liked the cousin when she was coming up, who was a Chastang. And then my son dated Christian Weaver. He dated her. Then I see in Jerome Pick's family origin, he had a Weaver, and I said, oh my Lord. I said, they could have been cousins. So I said, the saying is true, what my mother was saying. I don't want you all dating any of your family. So, but I just have been just really trying to figure out just things about myself. And I love the water. And as I did the DNA, I mean, I could go just sit at the water and look at the water all day. And then come to find out, all my grandfathers, I think 3 of them were seamen. And it's like the water calls me. And I said, oh my God, it's just something innate that's there, that if I hadn't done the research, I wouldn't know why. It's just, I just want to sit, I just want to look at it all day. And I said, it's just amazing what's in your blood and you never know. And then I said, okay, that's maybe why I love this or I love that. So I just have been just so happy to find you all, and just to say I do have where I teach school is not that many Black people there at St. Ignatius. And I was telling one of the ladies there that I had done my DNA, and she was like, well, that's not important. Why would you even worry about that? Well, you know where you came from. You know where your great grandparents lived, or where. I don't, because I didn't have that choice. So it just made me more and more, you know, to have the longing of just trying to find out, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I?
People?
Who are my people?
Yeah.
And the saddest thing about this also is that I have connected to family members, and they don't want to be connected.
Yeah.
For me, that's the saddest thing. I have found people that I have walked around every day, have been in the same social background, and they don't want to have any connection. So, you know, for me, my thing is, well, I know who you are, so I can tell my children, but I'm not in the position to beg to be family. You know, why would you have to beg to be family? So I just said that I know, I tuck it in my heart, and slowly the pieces of the puzzle. And if you want to be in that puzzle, my arms are open. But if not, I know what I know now. You know, so for me, that's the saddest thing when you actually do find family, they don't want to have a relationship with you.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know how to navigate that. You know, how do you? I guess because I just love people. You know, and how do you navigate when you've been searching all this time and you find that piece of the puzzle, and they don't want to be a part. So maybe you all can help me with that. But I do like I've been doing, just keep moving forward.
Yep, keep moving.
Keep moving forward. Plug in a piece of the puzzle and keep moving forward.
Now, I was thinking about what you said about, you know, we see some of the white folks and you may think they know about their family, but you'd be surprised they know as little about their ancestry as we do. And because that's one of the things that's interesting about those of us with Creole connections. You know, those Creole folks have gone in and out of, you know, both, you know, the Black community and the white community, Black families and white families. So and that's one of the most the thing that we see most common among those white folks, people who are defined as white, who have some Creole background. They have, if they've done the investigating, the biggest shock to them is discovering how brown their tree is, as they would put it.
Oh my, I can't even imagine.
And some even know how brown their tree is, but they just, you know, ignore it.
And keep it under wraps. Yes.
And I'm learning that too, as I go and look at, because the first person that contacted me was a white person, a white family member. And I was afraid to even reply, because I said, well, I'm wondering, at the time I had blonde color in my hair. And I said, well, I'm wondering if you think I'm a white person. So I was afraid to reply, but eventually I replied, and I told him, I said, I am African American. So I put it out there. So if you want a relationship with me as a family member, that's fine. If not, that's okay too. So he told me that his grandmother was originated from West Africa. And he said, more than likely, that was my connection. So I think he knew anyway, you know. So, I mean, it's amazing, the Caucasian family members that you have that don't post their pictures or show their pictures. So they, I mean, the fear of having a little brown in.
Crazy.
Yeah. Some of them will embrace it, but you know, and then there's some who won't.
Funny you mentioned that. I ran into my cousin who didn't know that I was his cousin at an event, and he sat at my table. I was facilitator. I said, oh my gosh. I said, this may be an opportunity to connect. So his name is Russell. So I said, Russell, I said, I need to talk to you, but not right now. Maybe we'll talk later. So at the end of the event, we didn't connect. So there was another event, and he was there, and he sat at my table. I said, maybe that's the ancestors trying to get us together and want me to say, hey, Russell, we're cousins. So I did. I said, Russell, I said, we're cousins. And we have so much in common. We're on another board together that was established recently. So, you know, I may get some more time to Zoom with him. But anyway, Russell is Caucasian. He's from a very famous family in Mobile. And we were talking, and he said, well, you know, Ray, I said, he said, I didn't get any money from him. He said, I'm not from the rich side. I said, well, Russell, I got my 40 acres, but I don't know what happened to the mule. I said, it might be buried on the property. I don't know. So he started laughing. Then he said, well, Ray, you know, we're related to the Juzans. But through my research, I knew that. I said, we are. So I think that was his way of telling me, yeah, I know that we have some African American in our family tree.
Wow.
But if you ever heard of Ladd Stadium, that's my family.
Wow.
And they live in Chastang, Alabama. And I was like, okay. But I always knew, because my grandmother, who stayed with us, she used to cuss them out every night before she went to bed. Them damn lads, them damn lads. So I knew that I was related to them. But and when I was young, I used to say, well, Dad, what is grandmama talking about? And that's when he told me that John Milton Ladd was my great-great-grandfather.
It's just a small world.
It is very
It's
small.
a small world.
But I always knew that I was related to Chastangs, but I did not know how until recently. That was through just going on Ancestry and just looking at the census and looking at all the information. But I grew up with all my cousins, and I've known you, Vicki, for years.
Yeah.
Make that family connection.
Yeah. I mean,
across the street, all the Chastangs stayed across the street from me. Yeah.
I just didn't know, you know, and then I knew I was related to some Watsons, but I didn't know what Watsons. I just knew a few Watsons. And I knew that Carol's mom, Miss Bryant,
was a Watson.
But I still, I think maybe my junior year in high school, I saw her one day, and I don't even realize, because I didn't know I was related to her, but I don't even realize how we had the conversation. But she told me, she said, I knew you were here at McGill. She said, but I just didn't know who you were.
Wow.
And I said, oh my God, it's just a small world. And I had a cousin, she married a Hall, and from a long time, I thought she was a white lady. She just was very fair, and it's Ann Hall. And when she moved here from, when they moved back, they lived here, and then they went to Ohio, and then they came back here. She started coming around from a little child. She just loved me. And she would tell me about the family, but you know, when you're little, you don't care about that stuff. And then once she passed away, that's when, and I was older, I was beginning to say, you know what, I had the family and I just didn't ask the question. So was the person that told me about Miss Bryant at McGill
Okay.
and told me that she was related. And then I worked at the food stamp office, and it was a lady there, was Miss Bryant's sister, Spraggins. Can't think of her first name, but anyway, the lady every day, she would ask me, she would
Susan.
tell me,
Was it Susan?
Spraggins, she was not Susan, it was, she's older. She was Miss Bryant's sister. I can't, but she had this like bluish gray eyes. I cannot think of her name, but every day at the food stamp office, she would ask me, child, what's your name? And I'll tell her my name, Vicki Jackson. Well, that doesn't connect to my grandparents or my great-grandparents, you know. And then she would tell me, I know you from somewhere. And then in my mind, I'll say, this lady don't know me.
But she
She
did.
don't know me, but she would always have her eye on me. And then one day she told me, she said, you just different. She said, you dress different, you act different. She said, you were raised. And I'm like, of course, I was raised, but she was trying to get the connection. And me, I was probably 20, in my early 20s. I wasn't understanding that. And then one day again, she said, what's your mama name? And I said, Janice Jackson. What's her maiden name? Janice Mason Jackson. She didn't know my mom. Okay, what's your grandparents' name? I mean, this was like over the course of the month. And then I said, Jency Ross. And then she said, Jency Ross, she said, you my cousin. And she said, my grandfather, Prince Ross, he was the connection because his father, my grandfather had a lot of sisters, and my great-grandfather. And one of his sisters married a Watson. So that's where I learned all this from her, Marquita. Her name was Marquita.
Okay.
Marquita Spraggins. So once I started, I just fell in love with her. And she didn't know me from Adam, but every day she would just corner me up. And it kind of scared me because she kept asking me all these questions. And I began to learn a little from her. So, and she would tell me some of the family, and she said, well, you come from a special family. And she would tell me about different people, but it's still like, I still didn't know to ask the questions, you know. Yeah. So as the years went on, I began to plug in the pieces, and I said, it's just a small world, you know. And I'm just blessed that at this age, I'm beginning to learn, because I always wanted to know, you know, who are my people. And I'm really people oriented. I love family. So I just felt like, you know, the DNA commercial say it's a whole new world. It literally is a whole new world. You know, when people, when you find out that you have these relatives that you have no clue that were really close relatives, you know, and I just eat it up. It's like, I have this warm blanket over my heart. You know, when I go and look at my DNA, and it's like, okay, so this is where I came from. This is the part of Africa where my people came from, or, you know, it's just amazing to me. So y'all, I'm just happy to be a part.
Well, good. Angie, what's your story?
Well, I mean, I'm relating to everything you guys are saying so far. I have a little bit of different story. I grew up here in California on the West Coast, and knowing my father had come here back in the 60s, you know, everyone pretty much moved to Pensacola, Florida. So every summer I spend my summers in Pensacola, and, you know, I felt a warmth as a kid going there. But, you know, my mom was born here in California, and originally her people came from Texas through Virginia and all that. But it was really in college that something hit me. I actually had a homework assignment that I had to do, work on my family tree. Now, before I had this homework assignment, I always had an interest. You know, I'd go around asking the family, our family history, and everybody had a different story. So when I was in college, I had a chance to actually look into it myself and ask questions, write it down, get letters from my grandparents and and relatives. And I found out how everyone had such different stories, and that even intrigued me more. So, so I just started on a genealogy quest way back when, and that was maybe 30 years ago, and started piecing together my tree, asking a lot of questions. And I came to meet Tracy, the president, I don't know, years before she actually started the group. And she helped me fill in some gaps that I had on my tree, because I don't have a lot of information on the family. And somehow I ended up working close with her and became a board member. But I'm still learning, and I'm still trying to fill in the gaps, because all the people you speak of, I don't know anybody. I don't know.
Okay.
I mean, I know them on my tree, but I don't know anybody personally. So,
Okay.
but I always felt that warmth, and I love family. I love, you know, I love getting together and with my family and friends and having gatherings, and I never knew that it was. I've had people come to me later, because ever since I started doing genealogy, I kind of brought family members together, and people come to me and have appreciated that I was doing this and bringing people together. So that's pretty much why I do this. And obviously the Chastang family pretty much runs deep in the Creole, in our Creole family. So
Yeah.
I would love to find out as much information as I can, because as it stands now on my Creole side, it's very, I don't want to say sparse, but it's kind of spotted. Trying to figure out who is who, exactly what happened, and why people aren't connected anymore. And, you know, there's so many stories. So
Exactly.
that's pretty much it.
Okay.
Because here in California, I'm very close with my mother's family. I mean, I know all of my first, my second, my third, my fourth, my fifth cousins. I know everybody. You know, we're very family oriented. I could tell you, I could go back to the slave ships and tell you the slave owners' names. I could do all that on my mom's side. And for some reason, I thought it was going to be easier on my father's side, because Creoles are primarily Catholic, and Catholics keep records. So, but I'm just finding, or I've been finding over the last, 20 so years, that, some of the records are a little bit hard to come by, and you get different stories. You run into family members tell the story a little differently. But like I said, here with my mom's family, I'm very close to everyone, and we ask questions and get the answers. I mean, we don't know everything, but it's two different stories. So I've been intrigued to find out more about my Creole history.
Okay. Yeah, and now, way back when there was a lot of, migration to California. Because some of my relatives, I have a slew of relatives in California, and I've never been out there to visit, but, we're on Facebook, and a lot of them live in, I think, Riverside, in that area, and some are in the Bay Area.
Okay. See, now the story isn't the ones that went to the Bay Area. That's a lot of Creoles that live in the northern part of California tried to pass as white. And those of us who live down here in Southern California, we've just always been Black. There's no Creole, there's no, you're just Black, So so it's been a different story trying to figure out some of the family that's in Northern California, and not really having people want to talk to you or not be interested. And I mean, there's been crazy stories.
I'm sure. I'm sure. My Aunt Nettie, who was from Axis, used to tell me stories about when she was growing up. When she was telling me the story, she was old and senile, and she lived in Chicago. And I had to go to Chicago. I became her executor and her adversary, and I brought her back to Mobile, and she lived with us for a while. But she used to tell me stories about being in Axis, and that her grandmother spoke French and she was Creole. And I was like thinking to myself, she don't know what she's talking about. And when I was doing this research, apparently she did. She knew what she was talking about, and I guess I should have listened a little bit more. But she did give me some information on, her parents, and I knew who her father was, but I didn't know her mother. She gave me a picture of her mother, and her name was Mary Lawrence. And I did find some information on her, and Mary's brother's son married a Chastang. But I couldn't find any more information on that branch. But when I was looking for my grandfather, and the last name Richardson, well, the Richardson man was not my grandfather's father. It was the lad who was his father, but I did not know who his mother was. And you mentioned Tracy. Tracy helped me, and to kind of fit those pieces together. And Vicki, she may be, can help you too fit some of those pieces together. But it was also Rebecca. Come to find out that Rebecca's husband has a Chastang connection. I think it's Rebecca's husband's it's either great-grandmother and grandfather were Chastangs. I think Edward Chastang and Victoria Andre married and had, and I have it in my tree, but I can't remember everything. But I found that connection. And there's, a little bit of discrepancy because genetically, it seems that I'm coming up with Andre relatives and Chastang relatives. But Morris, I can't figure out exactly who his mother was. So that's giving me a little difficulty because genetically I'm finding certain things, but in other ways, I'm not finding the connection. So that's been where I am now, it's been a labor of love. But I did find the kind of Chastang connection to Africa, and that was slave Marion, who they think was part of the Fulani tribe, who went to Haiti. And she had a daughter, slave Chevelle, who married Louison, and they married, and Louison freed slave Chevelle, and they moved to New Orleans. And that's part of that Chastang connection. And it's very well documented. What's his name? Robert Chastang did a lot of research on the Chastang family, and he gave some of that paperwork to a lot of Chastang relatives. So the documents are there, you just gotta find them. I haven't looked at the information in so long. I have trees going everywhere because my connection is also on Mount Louis Island. So I've even gone through that branch because there are some Chastangs who lived on Mount Louis Island. So there's a lot of information. There's a lot of Chastangs. There's several Chastang Facebook pages. And I've connected with a lot of Chastang cousins through Facebook. And when I look at the tree, and I can remember one in particular is Randolph Chastang. And we're Facebook friends now, and I found how we're connected. And it just, like Vicki, like you said, it brought me so much joy and warmth finding these cousins, but also looking at them connecting genetically. I'm like, oh wow. So
I think I'm friends with him too. Does he have a set of twins?
Yes, he does.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So
Wow.
it was that ancestor is something else.
Yes, it is.
And I've been doing a lot of clicking on true lines and seeing them match genetically with relatives and finding that connection. And you go back and you start doing the research and you do find that it's plausible. It makes sense. So
I think that through lines is a great tool. You just have to make sure before you put it on your tree that it's legitimate.
exactly.
But it's very helpful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know one thing I was going to mention is the picture, one of the photos that we use for the society. It's the family picture with Odile Chastang. Now that's my grandmother gave me that picture. That was her grandmother.
Wow.
So I've noticed one thing that people make a mistake with when they're documenting or putting it in their trees. Her name is Mary Odile. Well, all of her sisters, had the prefix name of Mary. So there are some assumptions that she's a different Mary. And so she has a Mary Alice, for instance, a sister by the name of Mary Alice. And so people have kind of mixed up their records, and someone will put it on their tree and then someone else copies it and someone else copies it. And then they think that, that's who she is, but no, in reality, that's the sister. And so it's one thing we have to be careful with, I know. And that's one thing I've noticed through lines. People have copied other people's trees.
Yeah.
And, yes, and so you find the connection, but you're connected. You are relatives, but it may be a different way.
Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
It's funny that you mentioned that too. It seems that a lot of Catholic families, because my name is Mary Ray Olivet.
Okay.
My mother's name was Mary Olivet. Her sister's name was Mary Elise. Well, the christening name went first. My given name is Ray Olivet, but my christening name is Mary. And that went first. And that seems to be a trend in Catholic families.
Right.
And I think my mother just, she stayed to that trend. So I was like, why is her name Mary? My both of y'all's name is Mary. That's weird.
So you guys have well, I know Angie has, but have you guys seen Chris Norman's work, his dissertation? That
yes.
And you probably you can access that, because he has that all posted, and the Chastang family was, that was the family he did. One of the main families he researched, So I don't know, Vicki, I don't know, you probably may not have seen that before.
I haven't. I'm writing it down.
Okay, Okay, I was about to show it to you. I forgot I gave Ray, let's see, host disable. You have to make me share. Can you make me share the screen, Ray?
Yeah.
Do you know how to do that?
I got my other stuff on here.
Now, I have noticed all the hair that the Chastain ladies have.
Let me see.
Here's my ponytail. Ray?
Huh?
I say I have noticed the hair that the ladies have.
Oh,
Oh, my hair is about as long as yours, so maybe I do have some chastain. I don't know about.
okay. How do I share? I click
No,
share.
you have to enable me to share.
Okay, hold on.
Because I am writing everything down. I am just so full. I thought I was going to shed a tear for a minute, but I controlled myself.
Oh, here's
Hold on.
oh no, okay, you're sharing. So what you what you have to
I'm
do
sharing.
is okay, go back and do the stop sharing. And did you click on participants? You should see a list of our names there.
Participant.
When you click on participants at the bottom where it says participants for, then you'll see our names on the side.
Yeah.
And you should be able to click by do one of two things. What you could do, just go ahead. If you want, you can just go ahead and switch me back to host. That will make it easier.
Okay, now how do I do that, Sean?
Just click by my name and
Back
you'll
to
see,
host.
yeah, and you'll see the thing on the side where it says
More,
and then you can.
Yep. Wait, okay.
Okay, all right. So this is, and I actually just Googled this. Let's see, here it is, okay. So this is Chris Nordman's page, and you can see his name right here, and I guess I can probably chat that name over to you.
Okay, Nordman. Okay.
Yeah, and so on his page, so Chris is a historian he's one of our board members who specializes in in Creole families, and I don't think he has any Creole or African American connection necessarily, but that's a area of interest in it for him, and so he put his whole dissertation, which was on free Negroes in Mobile County, and on here, and it focuses on the a lot of the Creole families, and here is like in this first part here on the first chapter deals with the major families, and so somewhere in there, of course,
That's an interesting read.
Yeah, it is. But see, here's one of he talks about one of the origins of the Chastang that became the Creole family Chastang, and because here he's talking about Dr. John Chastang was a if I remember correctly a Frenchman who had children with an African woman. This is the person. Didn't you just mention this person's name, Ray?
Yeah,
there you go. Yeah. So this is what Ray was talking about. Louison. Did I say that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so yeah, this is part of the story that Ray was just talking about. So
that's a beautiful name.
Yeah.
So I'll be reading tonight.
Okay. Yeah, but it's called his thing. But yeah, if you just Google Chris Norman's name, and he has his site is called Finding African American Ancestors. It's on Weebly.
Okay.
And at the top you'll see something that says dissertation, and you can click on it. And that's what got me to this part right here.
Okay.
I'll backtrack from here. Clicked on that, and you'll be able to see. Now, of course, that skips to the origin part of your story. Now, for you to do the research, you want to start with yourself and work your way back,
Mm-hmm.
and but that that will give you the good thing about it is that with this work and that work that's been done, you can go all the way back. You just gotta make the connection between where you are.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just wanted to share that with you, you know, so take a look at it.
Well, are you all familiar with the Mason family? I, my grandfather was a Mason, and his I think either great grandfather or a third great grandfather, he was the Chastang, Jerome Chastang. So I was asking on the Creole page about the Masons, and they were saying I needed to also look into the Masons and the Mowa Indians.
Hmm.
So I don't know really much about the Mowa Indians. I mean, I knew they were from up that area, Chastang, up that way, but I'm not familiar, you know, with the Masons and the connection with the Mowa Indians.
I'm not either. I know there is some connection, but I just don't know how. Do you know Kirk Watson?
Kirk?
Uh-huh.
I don't think I do. No, I don't.
Okay. Kirk has done a lot of research. Do you, what's his name? Oh, I can't think. Kirk now lives in Atlanta. And I think he may have some information that may be.
It's not Reuben, is it?
Reuben,
Reuben?
That's
okay. See, I didn't know. Now, initially, when I did the DNA, his mother had my grandfather's name in her family tree. So, but I didn't know who they were. I just saw that this family had my grandfather's name. So I sent an email to who I thought was Miss Rosemary. And a man replied, which was Reuben. So I'm like, okay, I was thinking it was a man. I told him, I said, well, the only reason normally I probably wouldn't have sent an email, but the only reason I sent an email was because if they had the city was Mobile. This family was in Mobile. And that was why I decided to go on and send the email. So he replied, and I told him, I said, well, I've just started this new thing and doing my DNA, and I saw that his mother, he told me it was his mother's page, and he was over the page. And I said, well, your mother has my grandfather's name in her family tree, and I'm trying to find out the connection. So I still hadn't found the connection of why he was Ed Mason. Ed Mason. So eventually Reuben went and he said, we are double connected. He said, we're double cousins. We are related. We're related on the Mason side. Actually, I was related to his mom and his dad. So the mom on the Mason side and the dad on the Watson side. So, and I told him, I said, well, I know that I'm related to some Watsons, and I only know a few Watsons. The one that I knew was Fanny Watson. I knew Fanny, and as a child, my cousin Ann Hall would take me to Fanny's house. But still, you know, I was a little girl, and we didn't really get a chance to have the relationship, but I could see that she looked different because she had hair down to her behind. And my cousin Ann would always tell me, child, this is your cousin. This is your cousin. So I remembered her. And then in high school, she had a son, George. And she told me, she said, well, I have a son at McGill and his name is George, but George and I never connected. We never, now I was quiet, but he was quieter than me. So, but we just never connected. So it's like, I knew the bits and pieces. And then when, well, you know, Ray, that all three of my boys were the Junior Mardi Gras Kings. Well, with my baby, when I was trying to get the connection with Walter Little, with their family. And I wanted to include them because I'm like, I'm finding out that we're all related. And it's amazing. They have a child that's been a junior Mardi Gras king. They have, he has a cousin that was just the big queen. So I'm like, what is it about this family that this organization is choosing this certain type of people? And it's my family, but I just never could get that. I just wanted to be all family, and I wanted to say this is my cousin who's had the son was, but it just never, it just never developed. So it's like I knew bits and pieces of the Watson family, but I still didn't know. It's like it's the pieces of the puzzle are beginning to fit in. So eventually, Reuben, he had gotten where he would eat, and he still does periodically. He send me email about family things, and when Rosemary was going to be the queen, he actually let me know that she was going to be queen. And my thing was, I wish I could be included in some of the festivities, but it's just, it's not working. So I did have a chance to meet her, and I told her, I said, I'm your cousin. And it was at a Mardi Gras event, and I brought Drew up, and I said, this is my son. He's the junior king. I said, you guys are cousins. But it just still never, it never. So I said, I have got to stop wanting something that's just not ready yet, So he would send me DNA stuff of different people that I was related to. So I would ask him, so am I related to them? Am I cousins? He would send me Creole stuff. So then I asked him, well, okay, so am I Creole, or do I have Creole? And he was really like the big cousin. And it was, I could see him saying, yes, Vicky, yes. But still, that's who kind of would send me stuff and kind of was sealing it yes for me. But when he told me, he said, well, I'm Reuben. And if I had any questions, I would question him about different things. So he, whether he really realizes it or not, he really was a joy to me, because he helped me with things that I just wasn't aware of or didn't understand, or and he still, even though I wasn't included, he still was including me in stuff, so yes. Okay.
Well, that is Walter K's cousin, Reuben.
And I actually went to a Mardi Gras event, and I was sat at the table with Walter, but I called his wife, but I never did say anything to Walter. And she asked me, she said, did you tell him that you're related? And I said, no, I haven't yet. So I hadn't really been able to say anything. And then one of the cousins, Yolanda Wilson. Okay, I think we made our debut together. Okay. So when I saw that I was related, I actually sent her a text, and I told her, I said, the craziest thing, I said, we've been knowing each other all these years, and I think that we're cousins. So she was like, girl, shut the front door. I can't believe it. And I said, well, I did this DNA, and Reuben was the person that kind of was answering the question. She said, yeah, that's my cousin. So it's just been crazy. And then when I found out I was related to you, Ray, I really was smiling. I really was smiling, because I was like, I've always seen her, and I've always really liked her, but it's like we just wasn't in the same settings or whatever. And I actually told Mona, I said, I really like Ray. And I said, I really would hope to eventually have that cousin that I've been longing. I mean, I have cousins, but on that side of my family, have that cousin connection where I said, but I feel it coming. It's just going to take time, because it's all so new.
It did.
It's all so new.
And now she's my sister as well.
Whoop, whoop. Yes, I am. So, I mean, I'm just pleased.
When you say major debut, that means like the debutante thing?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I heard about that on television.
Oh, that's big here in Mobile.
Yes, it is.
It's
Big
big.
time. Yes.
Yep. Um, hmm.
That's
It's
interesting.
it's very interesting.
To say the least.
I made my debut with the comrades, and a lot of the Creole families were comrades.
That's what I made mine. No, not with comrades. I made mine with the strikers. No,
Strikers.
I with the strikers. Yeah, the strikers.
Yep.
Hmm.
The comrades and the utopias.
Wow.
And the utopias and the comrades all had houses on Mount Blue Island.
Now, funny you should say that. My uncle, he was a postman.
Mm-hmm.
And as a child, there was a huge party. It seemed like it was once a year at this place on Mount Louis Island.
Mm-hmm.
And I had just blanked it out of my memory until I did it, join the Creole page.
Okay.
And then it just started coming back. And I said, you know what? I can remember as a child going to Mount Louis Island to a big party. And I remember it didn't seem like it wasn't anything there but trees and mosquitoes.
Yep, a lot of mosquitoes, still is.
And some water. And I didn't like it because the mosquitoes would eat me up. But I can remember it was a big deal with my family. And that it was just something that if we didn't go anywhere else, that I remember my family going there to the party. And then Thomas Reed, his friends well, actually he was at my wedding, but he and Derek are good friends, my husband. And I was talking about that party. It's been at least 10 years ago on Mount Louis Island. And Thomas like, why had I never met you? I said, Thomas, we both were little children. And you're about 6 years older than me. So if you was about 6, I was knee high to a duck. So that's why we didn't know each other. But I had wiped it all out of my memory until I joined the Creole page. And I said, you know what, that was the party. And it seemed like it was once a year, and my family was just dying to get there. You know, when you're a child, it's not, I mean, you could run around and stuff, but there wasn't no toys, wasn't anything, you know, there. But the family just enjoyed going. And I said, and I remember that, but I had completely forgotten all about it until it just started coming back. So then I started saying, well, I do have a connection.
Yep.
How far do those groups go back? These like the comrades, those how far do those things go back? Utopians and all that stuff.
Oh wow. The comrades started in high school. It was the Big Ten and the Son of Satan. Those were the two organizations that formed the comrades. So it started in high school. My father was one of the founders. So he graduated from high school in 1939. So I think I have it on my bar when the comrades were founded. I think it was in 42, but the Utopias was founded before that. I think the Utopias may have been the first.
So these are sort of like similar, I guess, or maybe a new evolution of, like, say, the Creole Benevolent Societies, maybe? Or
no, these were Mardi Gras organizations. But
they're Mardi Gras organizations.
Yeah. They started in high school though, but then they started having balls.
Okay.
But a lot of the Creoles belonged to the Utopias and the Comrades. And the KOE.
Do they have those in New Orleans too, Mardi Gras organizations?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Big ones. Zulu is huge. They have hundreds of members.
Even though
Yeah,
it
I
started in
remember hearing
Mobile,
about
but it
that.
seems like theirs are bigger.
Yeah,
Mm.
there's a lot bigger.
Well, yeah.
But before that, you did have a lot of benevolent societies in Mobile.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah, that'll be an interesting thing to study.
yeah. I wish my mother was still alive. My mother was a history teacher.
Ooh.
And she was from down the bay. My father was from Crosstown, my mother was from down the bay. Most of your families who were Creoles moved either down the bay or across town. So she knew a lot of that history. And I don't know why they didn't teach us things. It's certain things she did. My father didn't say much of anything in terms of our relatives. So I kind of missed that. That's why it took me so long. I knew some of the people that I was connected to, but not all. But that was something that they just didn't talk about. They would always ask if I brought a boyfriend over, well, who are your people?
Yeah.
So maybe that was why. I could have been marrying my cousin or
Yeah.
and that has happened. That has happened. So, yep, that has happened.
Wow.
Do you all use GEDmatch?
I haven't used that yet, but I think I will.
If
I
you
haven't
ever
either.
if you ever upload your raw data on there, you can see if your parents are related. So I have
Right.
put in the kits of a lot of family members, not just my own kit. Thank goodness my parents aren't related. but I was surprised to find that some of those family members, a couple of generations ago, I said, wow. It explains the family tree a little bit.
I
And
always
why
say I got some
everybody really
crazy
look alike.
cousins. I got some crazy cousins.
Yeah.
Some of it wasn't intentional. It wasn't
I can
intentional
think
all
of
the
a
time.
few right now.
I can too. Wow.
As a child, you don't understand all that. And then as you get older, I say, okay, somebody married a cousin down the road. Well,
Exactly.
it doesn't scare me. I don't think we're related. But speaking of Chastang, my husband, his grandmother, that's where she is from. His grandmother, she's from Chastang. So, and I said, Lord, I know, I don't think I married one of my cousins. Sometimes my children act a little crazy, so I need to do GEDmatch too.
And I didn't know that. I am going to do GEDmatch.
I am.
One of the things that I wanted us to do with some of these, these gatherings is to try to coordinate our DNA results and our family connections, so to kind of get many of these individual families, like for instance, the Chastangs, to get together and coordinate some of these connections so we can know exactly how, we're connected, so that, and if we get enough, of course, we have more folks, but the more if we can connect with more Chastangs and get a few people to work on coordinating, sharing our information. For instance, knowing, especially those people who have done the DNA. If you've done the DNA, and if you know your and you share your DNA name, share where you did it. Actually, I was supposed to put together a form, and I'm going to put out a form together before we can do this. So you can, because you did your DNA, Vicky, with Ancestry?
Ancestry.
With Ancestry, okay. Which, most people have done it through Ancestry, but some people have done it in other places. But if other Chastangs would know who you are and what your username is and what your family ancestry is, and if they were to match up with you, they can kind of they can see
That's what I
exactly
need
where
to
they
do.
connect with you and all that. And it might lead to you finding other branches of your family too. So I think I really think Angie should probably help to coordinate something like that, because you probably know more about that, especially with and that's the other thing, get people to, because a lot of people are on Ancestry and all these other things and they haven't done GEDmatch.
Right.
And GEDmatch is what would allow us to kind of compare information with people who haven't tested on Ancestry, so when you upload your information from whatever provider you use, you can use GEDmatch to make those comparisons. That GEDmatch enables us to say if somebody took their test on 23andMe, that data, that information can be compared to you or anyone who's been on Ancestry or any other thing. So if we can start to collect that kind of information on various Chastangs, just come up with a DNA and tree map, family mapping is what I call it. That way we can really find out more, because that's the best way to learn more about your tree, is through your connection with other people who are also researching, So we can, so if we can make sure we maintain some contact and share, your information about, your what your username is, what your family connections are, and then we can end up trying to create a big map of all of the Chastangs and see how everybody is connected. That'll keep you from marrying your cousins.
Well, it's too late for me.
But yeah, well, for our children's sake, you'd say.
That's the reason I
any
always
more
said
crazier than we are,
I've always been happy for that reason to be raised out here in California.
I'm almost out of the danger. I got one that's married, and he married a girl from South Carolina, and then my one that's engaged. Yeah, she's from Montgomery. So, but I have my baby one. So, still have one more. So.
Yeah. Well, they're going to have children too. So,
I'm sending up prayers.
Yeah. So they're going to have children and meet other people too. So to do the mapping now.
Yeah. And it's so crazy. It's like you always be attracted to somebody that could be your family member. And I don't know if it's just they have the same values, or I don't know what it is, but
kindred spirit.
Yes.
Well, my family's really good looking. I got a lot of good looking women. All my cousins. So that because growing up, you're like, well, if you were my cousin.
Hey, I did have somebody tell me that in my family said we could be kissing cousins. I said, I don't think so. That is over and out. Okay, I'm losing battery connection. Let's see. I'm gonna have to charge up.
Okay.
That is over and out.
And Sean, we still have to find out that foster connection.
Yeah. Because you said you might be connected to the Fosters, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. My mother was a foster. Her maiden name was Foster.
Okay. What's your mother's name?
Her name was Olivette, Mary Olivette Foster. And her father's name was, what was Papa's name? Oh, was Oliver Foster.
Oh, okay.
And his father's name was William Foster.
Uh-oh, hold on.
Uh-oh.
All right, let me look.
Out of Alabama or out of where?
Okay, her father was from Alabama. Ooh, I don't know where William was from.
I'm asking because my husband has Fosters.
Oh,
William Foster is the name of the patriarch of one of my family branches.
okay.
I'm looking on it now, see if I find it. But see, I don't remember William Foster having a son named Oliver. And I think I remember most of that, but yeah. I wonder, I'm not sure if I have them on my tree.
Okay.
Because I don't know if I put all the Fosters on there. But okay, here's.
I have to tell you all this. When I was pregnant with my first child, and we were trying to decide a name, and I told my husband, not knowing the Creole heritage, that I wanted to name my child Maximilian Mason Merriweather. And my husband said, "You must be crazy." I fell in love with the name Maximilian, and that's what I wanted to name him. And fast forward, I mean, he's about to be 29 now, and being at the Creole page, and then I see all these names Maximilian, and I said, I wonder if back then I had this innate sense of family, and I just love that. I still love that name. And talking about the Creole, and I said, well, I guess that's where I wanted to name the child Maximilian, and I said, and we could call him Max. And my husband said, I don't think so. But
I wonder is that where Maria got her name from, Max's name, because that's Maria's son's first name.
I don't know, but I love that name. I wanted to name him Maximilian. And now seeing that it's a Creole name, I said, well, maybe just in my spirit, you know, I just had some type Creole connection there, and I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah, there are a number of William Fosters in that line back to back, and I don't know if depends on. So we'll look at that because I have a few William Fosters. The one who was the senior most is none of his sons were Oliver, but he had a son named William, and that son had a son named William. So,
and where were they from? You know,
they were. I don't know. I don't know if they came out of Mississippi first. And
that's
then
where my foster family came out of Mississippi.
Okay, well, yeah, he was I'm connected. So William Foster married Alvinia Mahan, or Viney Mahan, who was my Viney Lewis, and Viney Lewis. So Viney Lewis is connected to me because she is the daughter of one of my ancestors' sisters.
Okay.
You know, so yeah, so that's so they came out of out of Mississippi. I know she moved to Mississippi, married William Foster, and his son's a dentist.
Okay.
Yeah.
Weird. Because my foster family came out of Mississippi, but I'm stuck. I can't go too much further. I'm at a dead end.
Yeah. And yeah, if I'll put you in touch with my cousin Paul, Paul Paul Foster. He'll
Okay.
no, actually his name not Paul Foster. His name's Paul Heischolt. He's Norwegian.
Hmm.
Oh, his dad is Norwegian, and his
Okay.
mother was African American, and so he's connected. You know, so he's connected to me through his mother, and he's the lead foster family investigator. You know,
Okay.
from our family. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so there may be a connection.
Maybe something there you can help
Yeah.
me with.
This is just so interesting. I love it.
Yes. It's like detective work.
Well, yeah. And
Well, I
it's,
don't like that part.
well, that's the fun part.
I don't
Fun
like that
part.
part, but
Yeah.
looking, you're tired, the words are running together, your head is hurting, but when you find the connection,
Yeah.
it's a feeling I cannot explain.
Yeah.
I mean, you look for days, and then when you finally found that piece of the puzzle, it's just an amazing feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah. Well, I mentioned one of the crises I had this week. I'm going to do the next time I do a presentation at a genealogical conference. It's going to be on discovering things that you didn't expect, and dealing with hard secrets. Because I've had a couple of instances with that, and the most recent was last week. So I found out that my father had two brothers, and all our lives we knew, that my granddad, that they were all from my granddad. Found out, in 1 week that my dad is his only child, my grandson's only child from that marriage, and his younger brother and older brother have different fathers. So that was, so that was a secret my grandmother took with her. So it basically unlocked an 80-year-old secret.
So
This past week.
how did you find that?
Through the DNA, and
Okay,
I
that's
finally got my
scary.
uncle's DNA results last week, and when I compared them with my father, it showed that he was a half brother instead of and so that so it was a secret that was actually a couple of people in my family knew. Nobody else knew. My my father's first cousin, because he was she was the daughter of my great aunt, and I kind of figured that some of those types of secrets, they will, since it involved my grandmother, I figured some of it might have survived and passed on through some of the particular women, and it passed down to her. And so when I told her this groundbreaking news, she like, "Oh, I could have told you that."
Oh, wow.
But so my uncle and dad, we're kind of reeling from that, because all their lives they knew something different. So now I have two fathers I need to find, for my uncle. Well, one of my uncles still living, the other is passed, but I have to find them, and everybody who's involved is long gone. My grandmother would have been 113 years old if she was alive this year. So so everybody involved, so so I'm on the trail though, but yeah, but that was like a ground earth shaking. So once in a while you'll come across some earth shaking things, and you have to be.
Yeah, I've done that.
Yeah. So that's my next time
And I was not
I'm going to do a
prepared.
presentation on you handle that, how to cope with that kind of thing. Because I dealt with a similar situation.
I still haven't coped with mine.
Yeah. And
Let me ask you all this. I have a similar situation. It was with my great grandmother, and her father was not her actual father. She always, as a child, she always told me that her daddy was a Jew man. That's how she would say it, a Jew man. And he raped her mother.
Mm.
But the person that became her daddy adopted her, and she has his name. So as a child, because I was grandmama's baby, I spent a lot of time with them. And when we started doing the DNA, one of my cousins started years ago, and she said, well, and we call her Mama Ross. And she said, well, I know Mama Ross' dad was a prior. And then I said, wait, let me just go on and tell you, that was not her actual father.
Mm.
Her father was, she always said, a Jew man. So I don't know if that meant he was white or what he was, but that was, he just married her mother and became her father, but he wasn't her biological father. So that stops us in our tracks there. So I started calling cousins and asking them if they had ever heard anything about the story. Only one cousin, and you know my cousin Valerie, Valerie Franklin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, Valerie's mother and my grandmother are sisters.
Okay.
And my Uncle Willie B was the uncle that was the postman, their brother. So
Okay.
their brother. And Bernard and Gail,
Yeah.
all them, that's our connection. So
Okay.
my grandmother and their father and Valerie's mother were all sister and brothers.
Okay.
So when I asked Valerie, had she heard Aunt Minnie say anything about our great grandmother, the father, Valerie said, well, I know where he lived. And I said, really? So he lived in a house on Dolphin Street, right at Dolphin and Catherine Street.
Okay.
Right on the corner across from the church, that big church.
Okay.
I think it's a Baptist church. So
Uh-huh.
how do I go about finding out? And the last name I think was Griggs.
That was the.
How do I go about using that address to see who lived in that house like in 1900s? Or is that possible?
That part
It
is
is.
possible. I got to figure out how to do it, but that's reasonably possible. But you say
City directory.
Griggs, the name of the Jew man?
Last name was Griggs.
That's the Jew man, right?
Grigg.
Okay. Yeah. All right. All right. So okay.
But that's what she, as a child, that's what she always said. And to look at her, she didn't look like a black person. You know, she just didn't look like a black person. So then it began to fit with the way she looked. So now I'm like, okay, I have a name. How do I find out who lived in that house at the time?
You got a name, you're doing really good. If you got a name. So do you have an Ancestry account? Like
I do. I have through my email. I pay once a month.
Okay, all right, yeah.
Okay,
so
yeah.
What you can do is you can search. Here, let me show you real quick.
There. Can you give Miss Cheryl? She wanted some of those dentist Nortabs.
All right, so if you you see my screen?
Off the white.
Okay.
I'm doing this.
So one of the things that you can do when you go into your here, let me put somebody else's up here that's related to me. So if when you go and search through your DNA matches, you can do this. You can go into your list of matches and let's see, your faces are in the way. Okay, there we go. And you can do a search, and you can do search for surnames in trees, and you can put the name Griggs in there.
Okay.
So this, of course, won't make, and then when you'll end up with some people who have the name Griggs in their trees. Right? Okay. So so that's one thing that you could do, and you'll probably may find that person. and then of course you have to be able to know where those you need to be aware of people that you know of that you match with in your family and
Mm-hmm.
how they relate to you, right? So
Uh-huh.
those people that you know of who are among your matches, those matches that you know of will help you triangulate and help you try
Uh-huh.
to narrow down who's
Okay.
connected to you. So when you find that person, right, you can like click on that person, you know, look at that tree and see if you find that name in there, you know, and maybe look at the hopefully if they have, you know, they may have some information on that person. And then once you do that, you can look at your shared matches with that person, right?
Okay.
And then maybe you'll find somebody on the list that you're connected to, maybe hopefully someone that whose relationship you can define is among the people on that list, right? And
Okay.
that's a way to kind of, you know, to find that kind of connection. But you know, of course, you know, you develop your list as your pedigree as much as
Yeah.
possible
Tell them what it is too.
to do that. But yeah, but that's one way that you know, if like I said, if you have that you have a name,
Uh-huh.
that's really good because you know.
And there was we had a cousin, oh, he had to be almost 90 something. And he verified and said the same name.
Mm-hmm.
So of
Yeah.
course at that time that wasn't happening. So I have the last name and I have the house.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean they lived on Dolphin Street.
Right.
So
Yeah.
but
Yeah. And when you do that, you know, matching with people, you can compare and you know the you know, ethnicity, and maybe they might have somebody in there. You know, I just pulled up anyone right there, but maybe
okay.
then one of them might have a where there's some European Jewish ethnicity in there, maybe, you know, and of course that depends on how much. If they're real distant, you might not see it,
Uh-huh.
but that might be one way to kind of
Because I
help you.
think on mine, I didn't have any, and I got up. I was angry because they took that 1% American Indian away. I didn't like that at all.
Oh, you know, a lot of black folks upset about that. You know?
I'm like, man, I wanted that one though.
Yeah, yeah. That's one of the most difficult things to deal with. Black folks,
Yep.
you know, they want they want to find that Indian.
I wanted that Indian so bad. Well, people used
Yeah,
to tell me you have Indian in you because you have those high cheeks, and I believed it.
yeah,
They tell me
yeah,
that all the time, and I have zilch,
yeah.
none.
And you
Me
know
either,
what?
none.
And there's some explanation for that. There's a
It is.
possibility that you can have some, but because the pool of DNA that's been gathered, you know,
Exactly.
there's so
Mm-hmm.
few, you know, Native American groups
Yep.
Uh-huh.
that have DNA intact. You know, they have it, you know, have not intermixed as much. So there's not
Mm-hmm.
enough of a sample population to make
Exactly.
comparisons to. You know, so
Yeah.
that's one of the issues. Another issue is that there's some connections between African American families and Native American families that might be tribal but not biological.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you know, there
Mhm.
were a lot of Native American groups who owned who enslaved Africans. You know, so
Mhm.
they had and there are some cases. There's this book called Citizen Creek. It's a novel. It's a historically based novel, and it's based on a real life, you know, family. And this one character in there, the main character in there, his name is I forget what his name is, Cal Tom or something like that. And he became a Creek chief, a chieftain, you know, but biologically he has no Native American blood. You know, he had been an enslaved. He was an African who was enslaved by a chieftain, and he was trained as he was an expert translator. So and eventually later on, you know, when the folks were ran off, you know, during the, you know, the forced migration, he eventually was made, he was freed, he was given his freedom, or he managed to purchase his freedom, and he was elevated and granted chief. He was named as a chief. So he was a Creek chief, but biologically he was not Creek. So sometimes, so some of these connections that we're saying, you know, where we say there was a connection to Native Americans, it may not, that might have been the connection. So it might not be biological, but tribal. So so that's one of the other issues that might be a possibility. And then the third possibility is there's no Native American at all, and it's just hopeful, wishful thinking on parts of Black folks. So, you know, but
Well, they had that 1% on my DNA. So,
yeah.
But when they took it away, I was upset about that.
Mine went away too big.
Yeah.
Hey, but I am, you know, during what's St. Patrick's Day, I have that little bit of Irish. So I said, all right, sister got a little, I can wear my green on St. Patrick's Day. And then I could say,
what surprised me
yes,
is that
I do have. Huh? Oh yeah. Oh yes,
what
I do have.
Surprised me was the amount of Jewish that I had. I got Irish, but I have Jewish. I'm 12% Jewish.
What?
That might be their Griggs.
So I'm like, yeah, yeah.
Well, but I didn't get. Well, I got the Eastern or Western European. Would that be the same?
No, it'll say European Jewish.
Okay, it didn't say that. Mine didn't say that.
European Jewish.
I'm
Jewish.
So
I'm European Jewish.
I got more. I got more Scotland Wales. Yeah. I got like 20%. Got more of that. So.
Oh, that's a lot. So
yeah.
Of one European group.
But see, I'm thinking it's that my great grandfathers. That's what I mean. That's the only thing I could think of, or either the Masons, the Masons, and then my great grandfather was Ross. So, but it was I got 20% of that, and then something else. But I really did the DNA because I wanted to know the African part.
Oh yeah, well that's good.
And that's 20, I think 26% Nigerian.
Yeah.
And then Malay. Can't think of the other. But I just was really excited about the African part.
But you know that searching that I showed you, you can do. I think you can also search for, you know, genetic matches. You know, people who share that particular genetic match. So you can actually do a search where it says, you know, and put in European Jewish, you know, to search through your matches of people who might have a European Jewish connection. I think you can do that as well. Same way that I showed.
Well, I'm gonna. I hope I don't be on my ancestry all night tonight. Now, since y'all got me going.
Vicki, I did want to tell you. I don't know if you use the Mobile County probate page where you can actually type in the Griggs name and you can see if there was any property exchange at the address you were talking about.
Okay.
So I just happened to put it in while you were talking, and I came up with 4 pages. But that was a quick search through.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know if any of these people are related to you or not, but you can actually look at that and see.
Okay. And see, I didn't know his first name. The only thing I knew was the last name. And I mean, it didn't occur to me to even get a name. You know, I just knew that she was mixed heritage, you know, and I that's all I knew. And that was my great grandmother.
And you could also just go into the Ancestry database and search for the name Griggs.
Right.
And
I'll do that.
you can look at some of the the census records and see if one of those has a address. I mean, that's a long way to go through it because you have just that last name. Yeah, but you can probably find something that way too.
And city directories too.
Yes, the city, yeah, because that will have the address on there, right?
And when I found out, that day I went to the house and I put the address in my phone. So I have the address, and I said, it's just, when I pass by, I just stare at the house. And I said, that could possibly be my grandfather's, my great grandfather's home, but she was adopted. And once we started doing the family research, everybody was trying to pull up her father that raised her, but I said, he's not her. And I would have thought that more family members knew, but I was the one that spent the time, with them.
Yeah, and that's why it's important to make these kinds of connections, because you come across a person who holds a piece of a puzzle that few people may have.
Wow. Well, I tell you, I'm just so thankful, and I'm glad. Thank you, Ray, for sending that information to me, because it's like my eyes, I really love all this. But I'm a novice to everything, so just trying to learn and where to begin. My first thing, and I had been telling my husband, I want to do my DNA. And then one day he picked me up from work and he said, "You know what your Christmas gift is? I'm gonna pay for you to do the dang DNA." And I said, yes. So I'm sure he gets tired of me talking about all my new cousins that I found, but it's like, that's what makes me happy. That's what makes me happy.
Yeah. And, we have to ensure that we pass down that oral history.
Yes.
That's one thing that, my mother did, because I can still remember her telling me about, her aunts, and I had relationships with them, and I pictures were passed down, but everybody didn't do that, and I wish they did, because it's nothing like oral history.
And see, my mother didn't have the chance to do that because her father, actually my grandfather was studying to be a priest in New Orleans when he met my grandmother.
Okay.
And they married, and they didn't stay married. I think my mother may have been maybe 5 or 6, and they divorced, and he moved to California.
Okay.
So my mother didn't really know her daddy. She didn't know her daddy, and his family, I know they lived in Chastang, in that area, and they were all seamen, and then most of them went to California. So when they went to California, there was no relationship with her, with any of her dad's family. So here I go, lo and behold, and do the DNA, and her dad was Edward Charles Mason. My uncle was Charles Edward Mason, and then in California, there are several Charles Masons. And the first one that I run into, I said, I have got to be related to him. And sure enough, we were second cousins.
Oh, wow.
Second or third cousins, yes. So it's just amazing. So she didn't have that. And I find myself, when I find out information, I call my mom and say, guess what? Guess who related to? And and I think she loves it. And her dad even went off and married again. And I think he had 2 other children that he named. Her name is Janice and Charles.
Oh gosh.
So I tried to find, I couldn't find the children. They had a stepbrother. I tried to find him, and then I found out. Actually, I had questioned a family member, and she wouldn't answer me about the Janice and Charles. But I found out that there was a stepbrother, and he passed a couple years ago. So I just was so heartbroken that I had started something and I didn't finish, and I could have actually have gotten in touch with him. So this is for my mother too.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was just she and her brother is not here anymore. So she just didn't know learn her family. So as I'm learning, she's learning.
That's wonderful. It's a gift. Well, I want to mention this. I'm working with Africa Town, and on Epic, Samuel Jackson has a series of. He's partnered with, I know, the slave wreck. So what he's doing is going around the world and following these slave wrecks. Well, last night, the Clotilda, which was
they did that last time.
Yeah, that was discovered in the Mobile Delta, was on. So it's a fascinating story.
You gotta watch that episode. I've been following that. I haven't seen the most recent one though.
Yes, I think the fourth one.
Yeah.
Wow, I missed it.
But you can still.
But you can get it.
You can get it. Yeah, it's on. Epix is this new streaming channel.
Well, I saw Enslaved.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
I saw that.
That's what it is. But it's 6 parts to it.
And I think that was 4. And that was the first one that I saw. So I'm going to go back and look at all of them because, and the reason that I'm really interested in that is because the Masons, when they left Chastang or whatever, they settled in Plateau.
Okay.
They said my grandfather's family settled in Plateau. So I've been wanting to go to the cemetery to see if I can find my great-great-grandfather's grave in a Plateau cemetery. But they settled in Plateau and they all were seamen.
Okay.
And then somebody told me that I had a relative on the ship on the Clotilda. I'm not quite sure if I have a relative of one of my relatives married someone that has a relative on the Clotilda. So I hadn't said yay or nay until I actually found out, the information myself. So I'm very interested in watching all the shows.
Now, if you haven't, if you don't have Epix, what I would do, well, is one way you could do it. Wait till all 6 parts are out, and then do the trial for Epix. The 7-day trial. And then you can watch all. If you want to watch it for free.
That's what I'm.
I think we have Epix because I watched. Like I said, I watched the show. Enslaved one. Yeah. Okay, good.
But they showed the first one for free in some places. You can actually watch the first one online for free. So, so if you don't have it, you can do that. But if you do have it, because I've been watching them as they've been coming each week as they come out. But so they've been releasing one at a time each week. But I think there's 6 parts in total. Yeah, but it is interesting. Yeah. I can't see the thing on Clotilda though. I was hoping they would do that.
And Ray, we went to last year, they had, I don't know what it was called. You had mentioned it in our links meeting. Last year they had what is it called? The welcoming of the spirits or something. Last year.
Spirits of our ancestors.
We went last year.
Okay.
And it was amazing. And for me, them still having the African, their rituals, the rituals. And then I saw the one on Enslaved, and I was teary-eyed because I was like, it's just amazing. We were taken from our country, but it was devastation and loss, but we survived. Yeah, we survived.
Yeah.
And just to hear about how the ladies would put rice and different things in their hair was just, oh my goodness. Wow. For them to have the
And
wherewithal
plant them, and
to
they
know
were
that
part of their country.
they may not be coming back to their country, but just to grab a little piece and just find somewhere to put it, just was amazing.
Yeah.
Was amazing.
Yeah, that had me balling.
Maybe we should put together. Well, we got to wait a couple of years, maybe. Put together a trip.
I agree, whatever it is.
But we can put together a trip back to the, because I've only been to Ghana, and I'm supposed to go back in this summer to take a study abroad.
Okay.
Some students there. But yeah, that would be nice if we can do something like that.
Oh yeah.
Because Ghana is a site of two. There are two sites where there are slave dungeons there. And I did in my site visit. I did visit the Cape Coast Castle,
Okay.
but there's another one, Elmina, that's there as well. So next time we go back, I'm gonna take students to both of those.
Okay, nice.
Yeah,
I have a friend who teaches at South, and she's taken several trips to Ghana with her students.
yeah.
Wow.
I want to do Nigeria next.
That's why I want to go to Nigeria.
That's
When I was in the
me.
12th
Okay.
grade,
Me too.
That's me.
my friend's uncle was from Nigeria. So we made, plans, me and her name was Joan, and her cousin Motope. Motope went to Nigeria for school her senior year, but we all devised this plan to go to Nigeria for our senior year. And we had, made plans. We had it all, figured out how we were going to pay for it and all this other stuff. Well, of course, Motope, her father is Nigerian, so she had already was going there anyway. But my friend Joan, her mother said, hell no. And my mama said, oh, hell no.
I know, right?
I was so mad I had to go to McGee on my senior year. I just knew we were going to go to Nigeria. Oh, that made me so mad.
You know your mama wasn't going to let you go nowhere.
Yeah.
Not like that.
Mm-mm.
Sure.
Well, you can come. Y'all can come with me when I go next to Nigeria. That's going to be that's what I'm planning to do. My next trip after Ghana is to go to Nigeria.
Yeah, I would love to go.
Yeah. Since I have so much of Nigerian, I had a lot more Ghanaian until they did the update, and then then it was more Nigerian. So I lost a lot of my Ghanaian. So
I have a little bit. I can't remember what it is, but I have a little bit.
I don't think I have any Ghanaian.
I have a little.
yeah, well, I think a lot of Ghanaian was lost in that the last two updates.
So when they do the
Sometimes
updates,
I'll
what do
follow.
they do?
Well, what happens is your DNA doesn't change, but their ability to analyze it changes. And so based on the improvements in analysis procedures, they're able to better pinpoint things. And so what they're saying is that, well, now we can better tell and identify some things that we weren't able to identify before, and clarify distinctions and stuff. So that's what that's about. So they're figuring out better ways to read it. And so as they figure out better ways, then that changes their interpretation.
Okay.
Well, I got
They
maybe
took my Indian away.
Yeah. So maybe they'll figure out a way to find that Indian. Find that Indian chief for you.
Yep. I lost Indian and gained Italian. I don't understand. It's crazy.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah. From Indian chief to Godfather, huh?
What the heck? What's wrong?
Okay, y'all. So are we watching the debate tonight?
Yes, I'm watching the debate. What time is it? Is it 8 o'clock yet?
It's almost at 7:51.
Okay.
But I'm
Yeah.
looking at Angela, you're in California.
Yes, I am.
Look how pretty and day it still is. And it's dark here.
I know.
Yeah,
The moment we started, it was day there, and it's still day there, and it's pitch dark
Yeah.
at my house.
Yeah, that's right. So it's what? It's
It's 5:51 here.
wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep. Time for me to go eat dinner.
Me too. I was sitting here doing a little schoolwork. I have I had 3 virtual students. I have 1 now. So that's if I was looking away, I was doing her stuff. So I'm done with that. And I was trying to figure out how I was going to get, I had another webinar. So I said, God is good. I was able to get that out of the way and get my virtual stuff out of the way. And this was my favorite one of all.
Oh,
Good.
good.
I'm glad you could
Yeah.
join us.
With family.
Yes, we are.
So I put in the chat, these are some of the things that are coming up. So all these are Saturday things that we have coming up. The Creole language stuff that's going to be this Saturday. And I'm doing that Genealogy 101 on the following one. And then the last one is going to deal with the Creole Fire Company.
Where are these going to be at?
These are on, you should be able to find, you can actually watch it live on Facebook, but also there is if you go to our page, if you go to the Mobile Creole Cultural and Historical, are you on that page?
I think I am.
Okay, if you go on there, then you'll be able to see a link where you can register for it on Zoom. So, which is the best way to do it, is to register for it on Zoom. And and you'll be able to in fact you can go, you should be able to register like anytime right now. And
now the one this Saturday, what time is it?
What time is it
I
going
believe
to be?
it's 10:30.
10:30.
I don't have to miss it this Saturday. My niece is getting married.
Oh, yeah.
She's getting married Sunday, but I don't go to the beauty shop. I do my own hair, but I made an appointment to go to the beauty shop Saturday. So I probably could sit there and watch it if it's on Zoom, right? I probably could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or
I can always watch
Facebook,
it later.
or Facebook
too.
Live.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going to try to make every last one because, like I said, I've just been so excited. And I think I was more excited about being Ray's cousin than anything. So
I know.
she's just a few years older than me, so I would say my big cousin.
Well, everybody wants to be related to Ray.
But we just have that personality, Because I promise you, I don't want to be related to everybody.
The way my family is, Vicky, you know my family. Those Fosters.
Hey, they probably like my family. I mean, my Uncle Willie B, you couldn't go out. Like the ladies had rollers in their hair. One day, he didn't have any legs towards the end of his life. And my great-grandmother fixed him dinner. And I had gotten home from school and was doing my homework. So I had these big fluffy pink house shoes little girls used to like wear a long time ago.
That they wear outside now.
Yes. So my grandmother asked me to take him food, and I said, oh man, I was getting my homework, I was comfortable, and I said, well, I'm just going to see Uncle Buddy, and I'm going to wear my fluffy house shoes. Oh my goodness. He blasted me out, and he said, those are house slippers. And I said, yes, sir, but I was doing my homework, and I was just trying to come. And he said, from now on, don't let me see you with your house slippers on. What if the car stopped? Till today,
He was something else. Yeah.
I don't go out with house shoes on, no hair, nothing. If my head is wrapped up, it's coming. I don't even go get the mail with anything wrapped around my head. So
that's the style now. They got those shoes that look like bedroom slippers. I hate seeing those. I hate seeing people coming on campus with bedroom
what I
slippers
hate
on.
to see? The
On
girls
campus,
with
really?
the head things on, the bonnet things on their heads. Ow.
Oh yeah, with the bonnets, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, and don't let a lady be in a Mercedes and have the bonnet thing on her head. And I be like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Wow.
you're driving
But
such
yeah.
a nice car and got your head all wrapped up, got your
Yep.
do-rag on.
But the shoes, they're designed for outside, you know, so they have a sole and all that. But they look like they look like the
I
same kind
wouldn't
of
wear
shoes.
them out
The
because
those
they look
fluff,
like
they look like the
slippers.
fluffy
House
shoes.
shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
house
now
shoes.
I wear them
I can't
inside,
stand
but I
that.
wouldn't
I
wear
can't.
them out.
No.
But my family was just crazy about you look presentable when you go, even if you're at your house, you look presentable when you're going out. So
I learned that from my grandmother, Miss
yeah,
Louise.
that must have been a Creole thing.
She was something else.
Yeah,
Something
I tell you. Well,
else. Well, guys,
Well,
this was nice.
it was
We had
nice to
more
meet
next
y'all.
time.
nice
Nice to
meeting
meet
you.
you, Sean and Angela.
Nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Hope to see you guys again on Zoom, and maybe in 2022 we can all meet in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Well, Ray, you just keep me posted on the meetings.
I
Okay.
will.
Well, we got your well, yeah, we have your email information. So,
Yeah, because I really enjoy. I just when I got the email, the initial, I was just looking so forward to this, and I was kind of hesitant because I said, well, I don't know what to expect, but I just enjoy. I enjoy it. I enjoyed it,
good.
and I enjoyed meeting you all.
Good.
Good meeting you. So enjoy the debate. Let's hope.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure she'll do well.
Yeah,
I'm praying.
I am too.
Can't wait till this thing is over. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I know.
With favorable.
With favorable, yes, yes. Hope for a better day on November 4th.
Oh Lord,
Yes.
that man.
Amen.
I don't know what he is, but he definitely ain't a Christian.
No, that's Satan's brother right there.
He is something else. He is something else. I have to pray the serenity prayer every time I see him.
I do too. I have to pray for him and his soul.
Yes, yes, yes. He needs somebody to pray for his soul because he doesn't have sense enough to pray for it himself.
No, not at all. Couldn't
Doesn't
even
have
hold
sense enough.
a Bible correctly.
Yeah. Well, the bad thing about it, he got people praying to him. They, you know,
Yeah.
he's like because it really is a cult. It really is. There's no way
Oh,
really
my
to
goodness.
describe it. My friend calls it Cult 45.
Hey, I love it.
That's a
Pretty
good name.
appropriate.
He penned that name correctly.
Yes.
Yeah.
I tell you. All
Well,
right.
you all have a blessed evening.
Good
And
night. I love
Okay.
you. I love y'all.
good night.
All right.
Take
All right.
care.
All right.
Everybody be
Love
safe.
y'all.
All
Bye,
right. Take care.
cousin.
Bye,
Alrighty.
cousin.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Sean. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Take care.
You too.
All right.